The massive screen in Earth's United Space Command Center flickered to life, displaying the smug face of the Galactic Council's Grand Administrator. His blue-tinted skin and multiple eyes were a stark reminder that humanity was no longer alone in the universe. "Attention, species of the known galaxies," the administrator's voice boomed through the speakers. The Council proudly announces the first Intergalactic Racing Championship, a test of technological superiority and spacefaring excellence. Captain Jack Stone stood at the back of the room, arms crossed, watching as the alien continued his speech. His weathered face showed no emotion, but his eyes sparkled with interest. Next to him, his first officer Bill Wilson whispered, "They're finally giving us a chance to prove ourselves." The administrator's announcement continued. Each participating species may enter one ship for this grand competition. The race will span across 5 galaxies, testing the limits of your fastest vessels. The room filled with excited murmurs until the administrator added, "Of course, we expect all participants to utilize proper modern propulsion systems. This is, after all, a serious competition." His multiple eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture they'd learned meant barely hidden contempt. Everyone knew that comment was aimed at Earth. Humans were still using what other species called primitive fusion drives, while most advanced races had quantum drives or exotic matter propulsion systems. Captain Stone stepped forward. "Admiral," he addressed the head of Earth's Space Command, "request permission to enter the RSS Thunder in the race." The room fell silent. Admiral White turned, his eyebrows raised. "The Thunder? Jack, that's a patrol ship." "A patrol ship with the best fusion drive we've ever built," Stone countered. "And more importantly, a human crew that knows how to use it." "Captain," a young officer spoke up, "the alien ships can literally bend space-time. We'll be laughed out of the galaxy." Stone smiled. "Maybe. But we've got something they don't. A ship that we built from the ground up, understanding every bolt and weld. No black box technology, no systems we don't fully grasp." The Admiral stroked his chin, considering. The Thunder wasn't Earth's newest ship, but it had proven itself reliable. Its fusion drive was a marvel of human engineering, even if other species saw it as outdated technology. The ship also carried an experimental solar sail system, which most alien races considered pointlessly primitive. "The race starts in 3 months, the Admiral mused. "If you're serious about this, what's your plan?" Stone stepped up to the main display, pointing at the race route. "The course they've mapped out is interesting. Look at these stellar clusters, the radiation belts, the gravity wells. They think this is just about raw speed, but it's not. It's about endurance, adaptability, and most importantly, understanding the basics of space travel." Bill Wilson joined his captain at the display. "Our fusion drive might be primitive, but it's reliable. While they're pushing their exotic matter to the limits, we'll be steady as a rock." The Admiral's face slowly broke into a grin. "You're crazy, Jack, but that's exactly what we need." He turned to his console and pressed the communication button. "Grand Administrator, Earth formally enters this competition. We will be represented by the RSS Thunder." The alien's multiple eyes widened slightly. "Ah, yes. Earth, we welcome your participation, though perhaps you'd like more time to develop a more suitable vessel." "The Thunder will do just fine," the Admiral replied firmly. After the transmission ended, Stone addressed his first officer. "Bill, get the crew together. We got work to do." As they walked out of the command center, Bill asked, "Captain, do you really think we have a chance?" Stone stopped and looked out the window at the Thunder, docked in Earth's orbital station. The ship wasn't sleek or shiny like alien vessels. Its hull showed signs of repairs. Its solar sails were patched in places, but it was theirs. They knew every system, every quirk, every strength. "Bill, throughout history, humans have won not because they had the best technology, but because they best understood the technology they had. Those alien ships, they're impressive, but their crews rely on automated systems they barely comprehend. We might be primitive, but we know the fundamentals of space travel better than anyone. He smiled confidently. And sometimes, that's all you need to win a race. Chief Engineer Tom Miller stood in the Thunder's engine room, his hands covered in grease, staring at the massive fusion drive that powered their ship. The engine's steady hum filled the chamber as he thought about the impossible task ahead of them. "Captain, you need to see this," Tom called out through the ship's comm system. Within minutes, Captain Stone and First Officer Bill arrived at the engine room. "What's on your mind, Tom?" Stone asked, noticing the excited gleam in his engineer's head mechanic's eyes. Tom pointed to a series of diagrams floating on the holographic display. "Everyone thinks our fusion drive is primitive, but what they don't understand is that simple can be better." He wiped his hands on a rag and expanded the display. "Look at this. While they're busy with their fancy quantum drives, we can modify our engine in ways they've never considered." He pulled up a simulation showing the Thunder's solar sails. "These aren't just for show. We've been using them wrong all along. Instead of just catching light, we can use them to surf the stellar winds themselves." Bill looked confused. "Surf the stellar winds? Like old sailing ships on Earth's oceans?" "Exactly." Tom grinned. "The aliens are so focused on pushing through space that they forget they can work with it instead. Their automated systems are programmed to fight against natural forces. We can use those forces to our advantage." Captain Stone studied the diagrams carefully. "Go on." Tom typed rapidly on his console, bringing up more calculations. "I've been working on a new system. We can use the solar sails to catch the particle streams from stars, then feed that energy directly into our fusion drive. It's like getting a free boost." He moved to another display showing the race route. "But here's the real genius part. See these gravity wells along the race course? The aliens will just power through them, wasting energy, but we can use them for slingshot maneuvers. I've developed a calculation system that can plot the perfect gravity assist trajectories." "Won't the other ships do the same?" Bill asked. Tom shook his head. "Their automated systems aren't built for this kind of thinking. They rely on brute force. We'll be like a stone skipping across a pond while they're trying to punch through it." Captain Stone walked around the engine, his hand trailing along its warm surface. "How long to make these modifications?" 3 weeks for the hardware changes," Tom replied. "Another 2 for testing. That leaves us 1 week before the race starts." Just then, the ship's communication system crackled to life. On the screen appeared a tall, silvery alien from the Galactic News Network. "Captain Stone, we're interviewing all race participants. Our viewers are curious about your choice to enter with such basic technology. Would you care to comment?" Stone looked at Tom, who gave him a slight nod. "We're comfortable with our chances," Stone replied diplomatically. The alien reporter's expression showed clear amusement. "Indeed. Our technical experts suggest your fusion drive technology is at least a century behind the quantum fold drives that will be used by most participants. Some are calling your entry, what's the Earth phrase? Joke entry." Tom stepped forward, unable to contain himself. "Those quantum fold drives are impressive, sure, but they're like using a sledgehammer to place a nail. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways." After the transmission ended, the engine room fell silent except for the steady pulse of the fusion drive. Captain Stone turned to his crew. "Tom, get started on those modifications. Bill, I want you to work with him on plotting those gravity assist trajectories. We're not here to impress anyone with fancy technology. We're here to win." Tom immediately began organizing his engineering team. Some were already pulling out panels, while others started recalibrating the solar sail controls. The engine room buzzed with activity and purpose. As Captain Stone watched his crew work, he remembered something his old flight instructor had told him. Space isn't about having the fastest ship. It's about having the smartest crew. Looking at his team working together, using their understanding of basic physics and engineering to create something new, he knew they had a real chance. The aliens might laugh at their primitive technology, but they were about to learn an important lesson. Never underestimate human ingenuity. The space around Alpha Centauri sparkled with more than just stars. 50 ships from different alien civilizations hovered in formation, each one more spectacular than the last. Some looked like liquid metal frozen in space, others seemed to bend light around their hulls, and a few appeared to exist in multiple dimensions at once. The RSS Thunder dropped out of its final jump into the gathering area, its fusion drive glowing steadily. Captain Stone stood on the bridge, watching as other ships' crews pointed at them through their view screens, some not even trying to hide their laughter. "Quite a show out there," Bill said from his station. "At Silver one must be at least 3 times our size." Tom's voice came through the bridge speakers from engineering. "Size isn't everything. Bet they spend more time polishing their hull than checking their engines." The main communication screen lit up as the Grand Administrator's face appeared on every ship's bridge. "Welcome, participants, to the first Intergalactic Racing Championship." His multiple eyes scanned the assembled ships before pausing briefly on the Thunder. Some more prepared than others. Captain Stone ignored the jab and focused on the race details being displayed. 5 checkpoints appeared as glowing markers on their navigation screens, spanning across different galaxies. The course would take them through dense asteroid fields, past unstable stars, and through areas of intense gravitational distortion. Each checkpoint must be reached in sequence. The administrator continued. "Your ships will be tracked through quantum markers. The first vessel to cross all checkpoints and return here will be declared the winner." A sleek ship with a shimmering quantum drive pulled up alongside the Thunder. Its captain, a tall being with crystalline skin, opened a communication channel. "Human vessel, I believe you've made a wrong turn. The Museum of Ancient Spaceflight is in the Orion sector." The bridge crew tensed, but Stone just smiled. "We'll try not to leave you too far behind." Bill moved to his captain's side. "They're all using automated navigation systems," he whispered. "Not one of them has manual controls like ours." Stone nodded. During the preparation months, they'd studied footage of other species' ships. Everything was automated, controlled by advanced AI systems. The Thunder's bridge, with its manual helm controls and physical buttons, looked like ancient technology in comparison. "All ships, take your starting positions," the administrator announced. The Thunder moved into its assigned spot, looking small and plain next to the grand vessels surrounding it. Tom had hidden their modifications well. The enhanced solar sails looked unchanged from the outside, and the improved fusion drive simply glowed with its usual blue light. "Final systems check," Stone called out. "Manual controls responding perfectly," Bill reported from the helm. "Engineering reports all systems green," Tom's voice came through. "Our special modifications are ready when you need them, Captain." "Weapons and shields at full power," reported Lisa from Tactical, though everyone knew weapons were forbidden in the race. The administrator's voice boomed again. "The race will begin in 10 time units. 9, 8. Stone gripped his chair's armrests. Around them, the other ship's engines began powering up, creating beautiful but threatening displays of energy. 7, 6, 5. "Remember," Stone said to his crew, "we don't need to win the start. We just need to finish first." 4, 3. The quantum drives of nearby ships warped the space around them, preparing for their first jump. 2, 1. The Thunder's fusion drive hummed steadily, ready but not straining. "Begin." The space around Alpha Centauri erupted in a spectacular display as 49 ships engaged their quantum drives, disappearing in flashes of exotic energy and dimensional shifts. The Thunder remained behind for a brief moment, alone in the suddenly empty space. "Now, Bill," Stone ordered calmly. "Show them what real flying looks like." Bill's hands flew over the manual controls, and the Thunder surged forward. They might not have the raw speed of quantum drives, but they had something better. A crew that understood exactly how their ship worked, and the freedom to push it to its real limits. The race had begun, and humanity's primitive starship was ready to prove that sometimes the old ways were the best ways. As the Thunder moved through space, the crew watched their rear displays showing the beautiful but chaotic light show of quantum drives disappearing into the distance. Captain Stone remained calm in his chair, while other crew members exchanged knowing looks. "They're taking the direct route to the first checkpoint," Bill reported from the helm, pointing to the sensor readings. "Exactly as we predicted." Stone nodded. "Tom, is our special trick ready?" "Ready and waiting, Captain." Tom's voice came through from engineering. "That yellow dwarf star to our port side is perfect for what we need." Instead of following the straight path the other ships had taken, the Thunder turned toward the nearby star. To anyone watching, it would have looked like the humans had lost their way. "Beginning gravity slingshot maneuver," Bill announced, his hand steady on the manual controls. "Solar sails deploying to maximum catch." The Thunder's modified solar sails spread out like giant wings, capturing not just light but the stream of particles flowing from the star. The ship began to pick up speed, riding the solar wind like an ancient sailing ship catching an ocean breeze. "Approaching slingshot point," Bill called out. "Everyone hold on tight." The Thunder swung around the star's gravitational well, its hull creaking under the strain. But unlike the automated systems of other ships that would have fought against the gravity, they used it. The ship whipped around the star, gaining enormous speed without using a single drop of extra fuel. "Look at that!" Lisa exclaimed from her tactical station. "3 ships ahead of us are having problems." On their forward screen, they could see 3 alien vessels struggling. Their quantum drives flickered as they tried to navigate a dense field of stellar radiation, something their automated systems weren't programmed to handle efficiently. "Their quantum fields are destabilizing," Tom reported. "They're fighting against the radiation instead of working with it." Stone leaned forward in his chair. "Bill, thread the needle. Take us right through the middle of that radiation field." "But Captain," Lisa started, "the radiation levels." "Our hull was built to handle this," Stone reminded her. "Old-fashioned metal and shielding, not fancy quantum fields." The Thunder shot through the radiation field like an arrow, while the alien ships wasted energy trying to deflect or avoid the radiation. The Thunder's conventional shielding simply absorbed it. They passed all 3 struggling ships, their fusion drive humming steadily. "We're now in 12th place," Bill announced proudly. "The aliens don't know what to make of us." A transmission came through, showing one of the alien captains they'd just passed. His crystalline face showed confusion and a hint of respect. "How did your primitive vessel? That should not be possible." Stone just smiled and cut the transmission. "Tom, how's our engine holding up?" "Purring like a kitten, Captain." These simple fusion drives were built to last, unlike those quantum drives that need perfect conditions to work. As they approached the first checkpoint, they could see more ships ahead having similar problems. The race organizers had cleverly placed the checkpoint in an area full of natural space phenomena: magnetic fields, radiation belts, and gravitational eddies. 6 more ships dropping out of quantum drive, Lisa reported. "They can't maintain quantum fields in this mess." "Take us in, Bill," Stone ordered. "Show them how humans fly." The Thunder weaved through the chaos like a skilled surfer riding waves. Every gravitational eddy became a boost, every magnetic field a cushion to bounce off. Bill's hands danced across the manual controls, making adjustments that no automated system could predict. They passed the first checkpoint in 3rd place, sending shockwaves through the racing community. The comm system was flooded with messages from other ships and racing officials, all demanding to know how a primitive vessel had managed such a feat. Stone ignored them all. Instead, he addressed his crew. "Well done, everyone. But this is just the beginning. The real challenges are still ahead." Tom's voice came through, filled with pride. "Let them keep underestimating us, Captain. Their fancy quantum drives don't mean anything if they don't understand the basics of spaceflight." The Thunder continued on its course, its fusion drive glowing steadily, while behind them, the so-called advanced ships struggled to cope with the natural phenomena of space. Sometimes, primitive didn't mean simple. It meant proven, reliable, and well understood. The first warning came from Lisa at the tactical station. "Captain, massive energy readings ahead. It's like nothing I've ever seen." The view screen lit up with a spectacular but terrifying sight. A massive solar storm stretched across their path, waves of plasma and radiation turning space itself into an angry ocean of energy. Captain Stone stood from his chair, studying the phenomenon. "Status of the other ships. The two ahead of us have stopped completely," Vil reported from the helm. "The others behind are changing course, trying to go around the storm." He checked his instruments. "Going around would add 6 hours to our race time." Tom's voice crackled through from engineering. "Captain, this might be our chance. Our magnetic shielding was built for this kind of thing." Stone nodded thoughtfully. While modern ships relied on quantum fields and energy barriers, the Thunder used traditional magnetic shielding, technology perfected over a century of space travel. "All hands, secure for storm conditions," Stone announced shipwide. "Tom, divert power to magnetic shields. Vil, prepare the solar sails." The crew looked at him in surprise. "The solar sails?" Lisa asked. "In this storm. Old Earth sailors used to ride out storms by using just a small amount of sail," Stone explained. "Tom, can we do something similar?" "Already on it, Captain," Tom replied excitedly. "Modifying sail configuration now. We can use the plasma waves like a surfer uses ocean waves." Ahead of them, they watched as one of the leading ships tried to push through the storm using its quantum drive. The beautiful quantum field surrounding it flickered and failed, forcing the ship to retreat. "Their fancy drives can't handle the energy interference," Tom explained. "But our fusion drive and magnetic shields, they're made for this kind of rough weather." Stone took his seat again. "All right, people, let's show them how humans handle a storm. Vil, take us in, quarter speed." The Thunder moved forward while other ships retreated. Their magnetic shields glowed bright blue as they deflected the first waves of plasma. The ship shook, but held steady. "Shields holding at 82%, Lisa reported. "Hull temperature within normal ranges." "Tom," Stone called out, "how about those sails?" "Deploying modified configuration now, Captain. I set them up like storm jibs on old sailing ships." The Thunder's solar sails extended, but instead of spreading wide, they formed a tight angular pattern. As the plasma waves hit them, instead of causing damage, the sails caught the energy and used it. "We're picking up speed," Vil exclaimed. "The storm is pushing us forward." Through the view screen, they watched in awe as massive waves of plasma rolled past them. While other ships saw this as a barrier, the Thunder's crew had turned it into a highway. Getting calls from the other ships, Lisa reported. "They're warning us to turn back. They think we're committing suicide." Stone smiled. "Send no reply. Let's concentrate on riding this storm." For the next hour, the Thunder surfed through the solar storm like a small boat on a giant ocean. Every time a plasma wave hit them, their magnetic shields held firm, and their modified solar sails caught the energy, propelling them forward. Detecting more ships falling back, Lisa announced. "Some of their quantum fields are completely destabilized. They'll need major repairs." "Status of our systems?" Stone asked. "Fusion drive running at optimal levels," Tom reported proudly. "Magnetic shields are holding steady at 75%. She's built tough, Captain." "Exit point ahead," Vil called out. Storm intensity decreasing. As they emerged from the other side of the storm, the crew checked their race position. While other ships were still trying to find a way around the storm or repair their damaged quantum drives, the Thunder had moved into third place. "Message from race control," Lisa said, trying to hide a grin. "They're asking us to confirm our position. They don't believe we went through the storm." Stone straightened his uniform. "Send them our telemetry data. Let them see exactly how we did it." The Thunder continued on its course, its hull slightly scorched but its systems running perfectly. Behind them, the solar storm raged on, a barrier to the more advanced ships, but a boost to the humans who understood that sometimes the old ways were the best ways to handle nature's fury. "Well done, everyone," Stone said to his crew. "But stay focused. We're not at the finish line yet." The Thunder raced through space, now in third position. Ahead, only two ships remained: the gleaming Stellar Grace with its quantum bubble drive, and the shape-shifting Mirror Blade with its exotic matter engine. Both ships were considered the pride of their civilization's technology. "Engine status?" Captain Stone asked, his eyes fixed on the view screen. "That's the beauty of fusion drives, Captain," Tom replied from engineering. "They just keep going." Meanwhile, picking up some strange readings from those fancy ships ahead, Bill studied his navigation display. "Sir, the quantum readings from their drives are becoming erratic. They'd been running at maximum power since the start." Stone nodded. Unlike the alien ships that had been pushing their exotic technology to the limits, the Thunder's primitive fusion drive was designed for endurance. It wasn't the fastest, but it was reliable. Suddenly, Lisa's tactical station lit up with warnings. "Captain, massive asteroid field ahead. It's not on any of our charts." The view screen showed a dense field of tumbling rocks stretching across their path. Some asteroids were as small as cars, others as large as mountains, all spinning and colliding in a chaotic dance. "Race control confirms this is the final challenge," Bill reported. "We have to cross through it to reach the last checkpoint." They watched as the Mirror Blade ahead of them activated its advanced navigation eye, its hull morphing to create gaps for asteroids to pass through. The Stellar Grace engaged its quantum field, attempting to phase through the solid matter. "Their automated systems won't be able to handle this chaos," Stone said quietly. "Tom, give me everything you can to maneuvering thrusters. Bill, take manual control. This is what we trained for." While alien ships relied on computers to plot courses through asteroid fields, human pilots still trained on manual controls. They knew that sometimes human instinct and reaction were better than any algorithm. "Beginning approach," Bill announced, his hand steady on the controls. Using minimal power, letting momentum do the work. The Thunder entered the asteroid field just as they heard a distress call. The Mirror Blade's morphing systems had failed, its hull partly phased into a large asteroid. "Stellar Grace is also having problems," Lisa reported. "Their quantum field is fluctuating. They can't maintain phase stability." Stone watched as Bill guided their ship through the chaos. Instead of fighting against the asteroid's movement, he used their natural paths, weaving the Thunder through gaps that appeared and disappeared in seconds. "Multiple impacts detected on our hull," Lisa called out. "Hull integrity holding at 92%, Tom responded calmly. "Our old-fashioned metal plating can take a few hits, Captain, unlike those fancy force fields." They watched in amazement as the Stellar Grace ahead of them tried to quantum jump through a particularly dense cluster. Its quantum drive flared brilliantly, then went dark. "Stellar Grace's drive has burned out," Lisa announced. "They're running on emergency power." "This is our chance," Stone said. "Bill, plot us a gravity assist course using those larger asteroids." Bill's fingers flew over the controls. The Thunder dove between two massive asteroids, using their gravitational pull to slingshot forward. Each maneuver was precisely calculated but executed with human intuition that no computer could match. "Picking up speed," Bill reported excitedly. "The gravity assists are working." Through the view screen, they could see the final checkpoint glowing ahead of them. The Stellar Grace drifted helplessly, its quantum drive dead. The Mirror Blade was stuck, its advanced technology turned against it by simple rock and gravity. "Coming up on final approach," Bill announced. "We're in the lead, Captain." Stone allowed himself a small smile. "Get us through that checkpoint, Bill." Nice and steady. The Thunder emerged from the asteroid field, its hull slightly dented but its systems running smoothly. The fusion drive hummed its familiar tune as they approached the final checkpoint, now leading the most prestigious space race in galactic history. "Message from race control," Lisa said, laughing. "They're asking us to confirm we're still using fusion drive technology. They can't believe we made it through." "Tell them," Stone replied, "that sometimes the best technology is the technology you understand completely. Now, let's finish this race." The Thunder soared toward the final checkpoint, proving that human ingenuity and reliable technology could overcome any challenge, no matter how advanced the competition might be. The final stretch of space between the Thunder and the Alpha Centauri finish line seemed to stretch endlessly. Captain Stone sat in his command chair, watching as his crew worked with the focused precision that had brought them this far. "Status report," he called out, his voice steady despite the tension. "Fusion drive operating at 85% efficiency," Tom reported from engineering. "She's tired, Captain, but she'll get us home." "Second-place ship is back online," Lisa announced from Tactical. "The Stellar Grace has managed to restart their quantum drive. They're gaining on us." Through the rear viewers, they could see the gleaming ship approaching, its quantum drive creating ripples in space as it pushed to maximum power. The gap between the ships was closing rapidly. "They're burning out their systems to catch us," Tom warned. "Those quantum drives aren't meant to restart after a full burnout. They're taking the huge risk." Stone nodded. "Bill, prepare for one last maneuver. Tom, get ready with the solar sails." The Stellar Grace's captain appeared on their communication screen, his crystalline features distorted with strain. "Your primitive vessel has surprised us, humans, but this is the end. No fusion drive can match our quantum technology." Stone didn't respond. Instead, he signaled to Bill, who began their final plan. "Deploying solar sails now," Tom announced, catching the particle stream from Alpha Centauri. The Thunder's sails spread wide, catching the powerful solar wind from their destination star. At the same time, Bill adjusted their course slightly, using the gravitational pull of a nearby stellar cluster. "They're still gaining," Lisa reported. 5,000 kilometers and closing. The Stellar Grace was now close enough that they could see the strain on its hull, the quantum field flickering dangerously as it pushed beyond its limits. 4,000 kilometers. "Hold steady," Stone commanded. "Wait for it." 3,000 kilometers. "Now, Bill, execute the slingshot." The Thunder suddenly curved around the stellar cluster's gravitational well, its solar sails catching both the gravity and the solar wind in a perfect combination. The ship shot forward like a stone from a sling. Behind them, the Stellar Grace tried to follow the same maneuver, but its automated systems, designed for straight-line quantum jumps, couldn't handle the complex gravitational calculations fast enough. "Stellar Grace is losing quantum containment," Lisa called out. "Their drive is failing." Through the communication channel, they heard the alien captain's cry of frustration as his quantum drive finally gave out completely, the advanced technology unable to handle the strain of the restart and the complex maneuver. "Finish line in view," Bill announced proudly. "We're going to make it." The Thunder crossed the finish line at full speed, its fusion drive glowing bright and steady, its solar sails shining in the light of Alpha Centauri. Behind them, the Stellar Grace drifted on emergency power, its quantum drive permanently burned out. The space around them filled with transmission signals as ships from across the galaxy tried to understand how a primitive human vessel had won the most prestigious race in known space. The Grand Administrator's face appeared on their screen, his multiple eyes blinking in disbelief. This is unprecedented. The RSS Thunder, Earth's vessel, using fusion drive technology, has won the first intergalactic racing championship." Stone finally allowed himself to smile. "Thank you, Administrator. We hope this race has shown that sometimes understanding basic principles is more important than having advanced technology." In the days that followed, the Thunder's victory became legendary. Ships from across the galaxy came to study their primitive fusion drive and solar sail design. Engineers from advanced civilizations were shocked to find elegant solutions in what they had dismissed as outdated technology. During the award ceremony, Captain Stone stood with his crew as they received the championship trophy. The Grand Administrator made a speech that would be remembered for generations. Today, we have learned a valuable lesson. True advancement isn't just about having the newest technology. It's about understanding the fundamental principles of space travel, about working with the natural forces of the universe instead of against them. The humans, with their supposedly primitive ship, have taught us all that sometimes the old ways are the best ways. As the Thunder began its journey back to Earth, its fusion drive humming the same steady tune it had since the start, Stone gathered his crew for one final announcement. "Today we didn't just win a race," he said proudly. "We showed the galaxy that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to understand, adapt, and overcome. That's something no quantum drive can match."